I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. Everything about this feels like a twisted movie plot. But unfortunately, this is my real life. I'm 30 years old and I lost my husband Daniel 8 months ago. He was 34 when he passed. A car accident took him from me. 1 second he was on his way home from work, and the next, I was getting a call that changed my life forever. Daniel and I had been together for almost 9 years, married for 5. He was my person. We met in college and grew up together in a way. We had plans to start a family soon. I was finally in a good place with work. We had saved up enough for emergencies, and we had just finished fixing up our little 3-bedroom home. We were happy, and then he was gone. I grieved hard. I stopped going out, stopped talking to friends for a while, just stayed inside the house we had built together. His clothes still hung in the closet. His shoes were still lined up at the front door. His toothbrush was still in the cup next to mine. I could not touch any of it. I wasn't ready. My sister, Brooke, who's 32, was one of the first people to come over when she found out. She and I were never super close growing up. We did not hate each other or anything, but we weren't exactly best friends either. She was always more outgoing and louder, while I was quiet and kept to myself. Brooke married her high school sweetheart, Aaron, when she was 17. They had 2 kids, twins, named Logan and Lacey, who are now 6. Brooke was one of those people who liked to perform grief. She would post long emotional captions about Daniel on social media, despite never being particularly close to him. She would tell people she was helping me get through it, even though she barely came by. I thought it was weird, but I did not have the energy to deal with it. I was drowning in loss. About 2 months after Daniel died, Brooke started showing up more. At first, I thought she was just trying to make an effort, and I appreciated it. She would bring food or help me with errands, and she would talk a lot about how hard grief is and how I needed to take care of myself. She started coming over so often that my neighbors thought she had moved in. She hadn't. She still had her home with Aaron and the kids, or at least that's what I thought. Things started to feel off about a month later. I noticed she seemed overly familiar with the layout of my house, like she already knew where everything was without asking. She once brought over a large bag of clothes and toiletries and said she wanted to crash for the weekend. She claimed she needed space from Aaron. I did not question it too much. I figured couples go through things. That one weekend turned into 2 and then 3, and eventually she just stayed. She set up her stuff in the guest room and started acting like she lived there. She said she was helping me, and again, I was too broken to fight it. I let it happen. I let her take up space. She brought the kids over sometimes, and it was nice hearing laughter in the house again, even if it wasn't mine. But then things started spiraling out of control. Brooke began making strange comments. She'd talk about how life is unpredictable, how people need to follow their hearts. She stopped mentioning Aaron altogether. One morning she came into the kitchen glowing. That's the only word I can use for it. Glowing. She said she had something to tell me, but she'd wait for the right moment. That moment came during a family gathering at our cousin's house. I wasn't in the mood to go, but Brooke insisted, saying I needed to be around people, so I went. And that's where it all came crashing down. Brooke stood up in front of everyone, our parents, cousins, aunts, uncles, and made a public announcement. She said she was filing for divorce, that she had fallen out of love with Aaron and needed to follow her heart. Everyone was confused. People asked if she was okay, what was going on, and then she dropped the real bomb. She was pregnant. 6 months pregnant. The room went silent. Then came the part that knocked the air out of my lungs. She said the baby belonged to Daniel, my dead husband. There were gasps and whispers. I froze. I did not understand what I had just heard. My ears were ringing. I thought maybe I had misunderstood, but no. She repeated it. She said she and Daniel had been in love, that their affair had started a year before he died, that they had planned to be together, and now that he was gone, she would raise their baby in the house he had left behind, my house. She said it all with a proud smile, like she had just announced a new job or vacation. I could not breathe. I just stood there. People were looking at me, waiting for a reaction. I did not say anything. I just left. The drive home was a blur. I walked into the house, sat on the floor, and cried for what felt like hours. I had lost him all over again, not just to death this time, but to betrayal. I kept replaying every moment in my head. Every time he said he loved me, every time he held me, kissed me, made plans with me. And now it all felt like a lie. In the days that followed, the story spread like wildfire. Brooke did not hide it. In fact, she kept posting online about her rainbow baby and how she was reclaiming her life. She said she was grateful for the home Daniel left behind and looked forward to raising her child there. I was furious. Daniel hadn't left her anything. The house was mine, legally, emotionally, everything, and yet she kept acting like she was entitled to it. That home is the same one Daniel and I built together. Every room carries memories of our life, and it was never meant for anyone but us. After Daniel died, it was my place of grieving, healing, and trying to breathe again. But Brooke decided it would be her new beginning. She did not even ask me. She declared it like a right. I could not believe she had the audacity to act like she was entitled to it, like I had no claim, like I wasn't the one who lost everything. At first, I said nothing publicly. I did not want drama. I wanted space. I told my parents everything. My mom cried when she heard what Brooke had done. My dad was beyond furious. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was the disrespect, the selfishness, the entitlement. Brooke did not just hurt me. She destroyed the whole family's trust. My parents reached out to Aaron and filled him in. He was absolutely crushed. He had no idea. He'd been working overtime to support Brooke and even thought she was just tired lately from work stress. She had already emotionally checked out of their marriage and was secretly planning this whole thing behind his back. He said he felt like a joke. But even while hurting, Aaron stayed calm and did not blast her online. He just quietly got in touch with a lawyer and filed for divorce. I think that was the first shock Brooke got. She expected Aaron to grovel, or maybe she thought he'd be too ashamed to fight her. But he made his move fast and clean, and once he left the picture, she turned her attention back to me and my parents. We all agreed that we needed to set boundaries, and that included not letting Brooke anywhere near my home, especially not to nest in it, while waiting for a baby that came from the worst betrayal I've ever experienced. My parents told her to stay with a friend or look for a rental. They offered to help pay for it if needed. They weren't being cold, they were being firm, but Brooke took it as a declaration of war. She immediately started playing the abandoned pregnant woman card. She posted online that her family had turned their back on her during the most vulnerable time of her life. She said we were punishing her unborn child and that we were trying to erase Daniel by refusing to support her. She made it sound like she was a grieving widow and I was the bitter ex trying to sabotage her new life. People who did not know the full story started commenting things like, "You deserve happiness," and "Your child deserves love and stability." It made me sick. She never mentioned that I was Daniel's wife, that she was my sister, that she had the affair while married to someone else, that she planned to raise her child in my home like I did not exist. She never said anything about what she'd done to Aaron either. It was all carefully curated victimhood. Then came the part that truly stunned me. Brooke texted me saying that she wanted to come over and start setting things up for the baby, as if it was already a done deal, as if she had already claimed my house like it was some unspoken will of Daniel's. I did not respond. I forwarded the message to my mom and dad, and they called her and told her to stop. My mom told her she needed help, not a nursery in someone else's home. That's when Brooke completely snapped. She told people I was keeping Daniel's memory hostage. She said I was jealous because Daniel had loved her more. She even told mutual friends that I had turned everyone against her out of spite. I got a message from an old family friend asking why I was treating Brooke like an enemy. I had to explain the whole thing from the start, but the worst part? She still does not get it. She still acts like she's in a rom-com, like this is a tragic love story between two people who were meant to be, and everyone else is just being petty. She says Daniel came to her in dreams, that they had a deep soul connection I'd never understand. She says this baby is a sign of destiny and that Daniel would have wanted them both to be taken care of. Meanwhile, I'm standing in the wreckage of my life trying to breathe. I lost my husband, I lost my sister, I am constantly reliving the betrayal and now have to watch her parade this fantasy like I am the villain in her story. She's making everything harder for everyone. She will not respect boundaries. She will not be honest. She will not even try to make peace. It's all about how she feels and what she wants. Aaron told my parents that Brooke had never been faithful in their marriage. He said this wasn't even the first time she'd crossed lines. It was just the first time she'd burnt everything down. My parents are heartbroken. My mom can barely look at her. My dad told her she wasn't welcome at the house until she got professional help. She called them cruel and controlling. But we had to act. We could not just sit back and let her bulldoze through our lives. We talked about it and agreed to give her space, but not our support for her delusion. My parents helped Aaron find a temporary place, and I gave him the contact info for my lawyer. We've quietly coordinated to make sure Brooke does not try to move into my home without consent. I even installed a camera system just in case. It felt paranoid, but she's been acting so entitled I did not want to take chances. Now she's telling everyone that we ambushed her, that she had no idea we were all planning to punish her. She makes it sound like she walked into a surprise intervention, not the consequences of her own betrayal. She says we ganged up on her, emotionally abused her, and left her pregnant and alone. She's crying abandonment when all we did was say no to letting her replace me in my own life. I've never felt more drained. I'm grieving the death of my husband all over again, but now I'm also grieving the loss of my sister and the future I thought we'd have as a family. I've never felt so isolated and confused. She turned everything upside down, and now she wants sympathy because we are finally setting limits. So, AITA for abandoning my pregnant sister when all I did was say no to her trying to take over my house, my late husband's memory, and the life she destroyed. Update 1. Brooke had the baby. It felt unreal when I first heard. I wasn't sure if I wanted to believe it or not. All the feelings that had been bottled up over the past months came rushing back in a flood of confusion and sorrow. This wasn't just some distant news anymore. There was now a tiny, helpless person tied into this mess and everything I'd been trying to protect. The memory of Daniel, my home, my peace, felt more fragile than ever. Our parents had been at the hospital when Brooke went into labor. They had made a point to be there. It wasn't because they had forgiven her or because they supported everything she did, but because this was still family and the baby was still their grandchild. It was complicated for them, caught in the middle between me and Brooke, between hurt and love, between disappointment and responsibility. When they told me they were going to be there, I did not really say much. I knew they wanted to be present for the birth, but I also knew they were worried about what might happen if Brooke tried to drag me into the hospital drama. We had made it clear, no stepping into my house, no trying to take over my life or claim Daniel's memory. But in the hospital, the rules were different. Brooke had a right to be there. The baby had a right to be surrounded by family, no matter how messy. After Brooke gave birth, I debated whether or not I should visit. Part of me wanted to stay away, to keep my distance, to protect what was left of my heart. Another part of me wanted to see the baby, to face the reality I had been running from, and maybe find some closure or understanding. It wasn't an easy decision. When I finally decided to go, I felt strange walking into that hospital room. The air was thick with tension, sadness, and something I could not quite name. My parents were there, their faces tired but relieved to see me. Brooke looked exhausted. Her face was pale, her eyes heavy with fatigue, maybe a touch of regret. Or was it defiance? I could not tell. The baby was asleep in a bassinet beside her bed, peaceful and tiny. I did not know what to say or do. Brooke said very little, just enough to acknowledge I was there. It felt like we were on the same room, but worlds apart. I focused on the baby instead, looking down at that small face stirred up a storm inside me. Those deep brown eyes were unmistakably Daniel's. It hit me hard. That baby was part of him, part of my past and now, part of this complicated family story that felt like it had no happy ending. Brooke offered me the chance to hold the baby. I hesitated, but then nodded. Holding that fragile little life in my arms was nothing like I expected. There was no joy, no warmth, just a hollow ache mixed with pain and disbelief. The baby was so innocent, unaware of the storm around him. It made everything feel heavier, more real. This wasn't just a story of betrayal anymore, it was real life. A new beginning built on broken pieces. Our parents stayed close, their faces full of mixed emotions. Mom's eyes were soft with sympathy. Dad's expression was serious, and Brooke's gaze flickered between guilt and anger. It was clear none of us really knew how to navigate this new chapter. During that visit, the distance between Brooke and me felt like a canyon. The betrayal had changed everything, and it was impossible to pretend like nothing had happened. She wasn't my sister anymore, not in the way I had known her. She was someone I barely recognized, someone who had shattered the trust and love between us. I did not stay long. After a while, I gently handed the baby back to Brooke and said goodbye. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me as I left the hospital. The silence in the car ride home was thick with questions I did not have answers for. What did this mean for the future? Could things ever be normal again? Could I ever forgive her or even myself for how deeply this cut? Seeing that baby made everything impossible to ignore. This wasn't just about me and Brooke anymore. It was about a new life, caught in the middle of our broken family. I wanted to believe Brooke could be a good mother, that she could give that child a better life than the one we were all stuck in, but I wasn't sure she was ready or willing to face the consequences of her choices. In the weeks after the birth, things did not get easier. Brooke kept posting on social media about her new life, about how she was starting fresh and building a family, all while painting herself as the victim. I stayed quiet, but inside I was struggling. My parents were exhausted, trying to support everyone, but feeling the strain of the whole situation. Aaron was moving forward with the divorce, keeping his distance from the drama, but it was clear he was still hurting deeply. I visited Brooke and the baby a few more times. Each visit felt more complicated than the last. The baby was growing, becoming more real with every tiny smile or little cry. But the tension never eased. Brooke seemed caught in her own world, refusing to acknowledge the pain she had caused or the bridges she had burned. Our parents tried to stay neutral, but I could see how hard it was for them. Mom would often call me afterwards, her voice soft and worried. Dad, usually quiet, grew more protective of me and the home Daniel and I shared. They understood that even though the baby was family, what Brooke did could not just be brushed aside. I kept thinking about the future. What kind of relationship, if anything, could I have with Brooke? Could we ever find peace? Could I accept this child as part of my family? Even if Brooke wasn't part of my life anymore. These questions kept me awake at night. The hardest part was realizing that some wounds might never fully heal. I lost more than a sister. I lost the life I thought I had, the family I believed in, and the man I loved. Brooke's baby was a symbol of all that loss. No matter what happened next, that truth was impossible to escape. I did not know what the future held, but for now, I was trying to take it one day at a time, trying to protect my heart, while accepting that some parts of my past were gone forever. Update 2. I've been trying to be there for Brooke ever since she had the baby. It hasn't been easy at all. Some days I feel like I'm doing it just to keep the peace. Others because I want to believe that family means more than everything that happened between us. But deep down, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. When I walk into her house, the place where I once thought I'd build my future with Daniel, I feel like a stranger in a strange world. The baby's there, sleeping or crying, so small and helpless. And Brooke looks tired but determined. She's doing her best to be a mother, and I respect that. But the weight of everything she did before, everything she took from me, hangs over every visit like a heavy cloud. The baby, she's beautiful. She has Daniel's eyes, his smile. It breaks me to see that little face and know that this child is his. Yet, she's not mine. I hold her carefully, afraid that if I squeeze too tight, I might shatter the fragile hope I have left. But holding her also hurts. It reminds me of what I lost, what Brooke stole. It's a reminder that Daniel's love and memory are now tangled in this complicated mess. Brooke acts like she wants to mend things between us. She tries to smile when I come over, offers me coffee or tea, talks about the baby's milestones. But I see the way she looks away when I mention Daniel or the house. She avoids the real conversation, the painful truths we both want to ignore but can't. I want to say things. I want to ask how she feels, if she regrets anything, if she ever thinks about what she took from me. But I hold back because I know those questions might only push her further away. Instead, I focus on the baby, on the tiny life that has no say in this drama, but is caught up in the middle of it all. My parents come with me sometimes when I visit. They try to be the glue holding us all together, but I can see the exhaustion in their eyes. It's clear this whole situation has worn them down. They never wanted to see their daughters divided like this. They want peace, but there's no easy way to fix something this broken. Mom has been especially quiet lately. She used to be the one trying to smooth things over with Brooke, telling me to be patient, to think about the baby's future. Dad is more protective. He listens to me when I call after a visit, his voice steady but full of concern. They both want us to find a way back to each other, but I am not sure that's possible. Not yet, anyway. The hardest part is the silence between Brooke and me. We do not talk about the past. We don't talk about the pain. We tiptoe around everything like we're scared to break the fragile peace we've managed to keep. But that silence feels heavier than any argument. It's a reminder of everything we've lost. There are moments, though, when I catch Brooke's eyes meeting mine. In those brief flashes, I see something raw and real. Maybe regret, maybe sadness, maybe confusion. But as soon as I look back, she looks away, hiding behind a smile or a joke. I don't know if she's angry at me or herself or just overwhelmed by everything. I wish I could reach through the wall she's built and talk honestly with her, but I do not know if she's ready. After every visit, I drive home in silence. Sometimes I cry. I cry for the sister I lost, for the man I loved, for the family that feels shattered beyond repair. I cry because pretending to be okay with this new reality is exhausting. I want to be strong for the baby, for Brooke, for my parents, but inside I feel like I'm breaking. I thought a lot about what it means to forgive. Can I forgive Brooke for everything she's done? Can I forgive her for taking Daniel from me, for trying to take over the home we built? I don't know if I'm ready yet, but I want to. I want to believe that someday we can find a way back to being sisters. The baby's growing fast. Every smile, every new sound she makes is a reminder that life moves on. Even when it hurts, Brooke is trying to be the mother this child needs. Sometimes I see her reading books on parenting or carefully preparing bottles. She's scared, I know, but she's trying. That makes me want to be there for her, even when it's hard. But the hard moments keep coming, like when Brooke talks about building a new life without any real apology or acknowledgement of what she broke. Or when she posts pictures of the baby on social media with captions that sound like she's moving on without me. Those moments cut deep. I want to scream at her, to tell her that some things can't just be erased with a smile or a picture, but I do not. I keep quiet and try to be the bigger person even when it's painful. I'm also scared that if I do not keep some distance, I might lose myself in all of this. I've spent months trying to rebuild my life after losing Daniel and watching Brooke take everything from me. I have to protect my heart while still trying to be there for the baby who's innocent in all this. Our parents try to help, but I see the toll it's taking on them. They're stuck between wanting to support Brooke and wanting to protect me. It's a difficult balance. And sometimes I worry we're all just delaying the inevitable fallout. Sometimes I wonder if Brooke ever wants a real relationship with me anymore, or if she just wants me to accept her on her terms, without asking questions. That's not how it works, not for me. Despite all this, I visit regularly because I want the baby to know I care. I want Brooke to know I'm trying. But each visit feels like walking on thin ice. One wrong step and everything could shatter. I don't know if Brooke and I will ever be close again, but I am trying to be there for her and the baby, even when my heart feels broken. Maybe someday we will find peace, but for now it's just one difficult day after another. It's been months now since Brooke had the baby, and I'm still visiting and still trying to be the sister and aunt I want to be. But I can't lie, this whole thing has changed me in ways I never expected. I'm not the same person I was before Daniel died, before Brooke decided to take over my life and my home. Being there for Brooke is like trying to hold together a broken glass. No matter how careful I am, no matter how much I want to fix things, there are cracks that will not go away. I want to believe she's trying to make this work, not just for the baby, but for us too. But the past keeps pulling us back, reminding us of all the things that can't be undone. The baby's growing fast. She started to crawl and babble, and sometimes I see little moments of Daniel in her. His smile, the way her eyes light up when she's curious about something. Those moments are bittersweet. They remind me of the love I lost and the complicated new love that Brooke is trying to build. Brooke is exhausted most of the time. Motherhood is hard on her, just like it is for any new mom. I try to support her without judgment, even when my heart aches to think about how she got here. I do not say the things I want to say, the things that might hurt her or make everything worse. I keep those feelings buried because I know the baby needs peace, even if Brooke and I do not. Sometimes when I'm alone, I wonder if Brooke even wants me around. She's polite during visits, but distant. There's still a wall between us, made of hurt and betrayal. I want to tear it down, but I don't know how. Maybe she's afraid too. Our parents have been a steady presence through all of this. They try to hold the family together, but I see how tired they are. They want us to heal, but healing feels impossible right now. It's hard to forgive and forget when the pain is so fresh. I've realized that being there for Brooke does not mean I have to forget what happened or pretend it did not hurt me. It means accepting that we are both broken in different ways and trying to find a way to move forward without losing myself in the process. There are days when I want to give up, when the sadness and anger feel too heavy to carry. But then I look at the baby and remember why I keep trying. She deserves a family, even if it's not the one I imagined. She deserves to know that I care, even if her mother and I have a complicated past. I do not know what the future holds for Brooke and me. Maybe one day we will be sisters again in the way I always hoped. Or maybe we will just be two women who share a painful history and a child who connects us in ways words never could. For now, I'm here, I'm present, I am trying. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.